For KRVN Sports, I'm Jayson Jorgensen. New UNK women's soccer coach Rob Breton and the Lopers continue to learn one another as the season is underway. This week I had a chance to talk to Breton about the start of the year for the Blue and Gold.
Well, I think the ladies got off to a little bit of a slow start in regards to, the structure in the back and having more of a cohesive understanding of what we were trying to do and where we were. But now that, we're 2 regular games into the season, 2 preseason games into the season, they're starting to understand where the areas are that we need to do better and where the inconsistencies are in our defensive structure, at least. It's been a little bit hectic, but at the same time, it's been an awesome experience because, the school itself is very well set up. It has great resources. There's a great athletic department. So there wasn't a lot of rebuilding or restructuring of things that we had to do. It was more on the coaching side, me adapting to what the processes of the school are like and, what the players were like. I will say one of the more unfortunate things on my end was that I only got to spend 3 weeks with the ladies before they went away on summer break. And, since I can't do anything with them all summer, I had a very limited window to be able to evaluate who they are, where they could help us, what we were doing. So preseason has been much more of a evaluation, understanding, and designing phase to see, what can we really do with this team going forward for the rest of this year, and how to start building the transitional pieces for what the program wants to look like over the next 3 or 4 years.
Coach, you've gone through your preseason. You had some exhibition matches. You've now played a couple of matches. What's your read on this team and what you have to work with taking over here in your first year in Kearney?
I have a really good group of individual players. Like, to tell you the truth, all the girls are very good individualistically. They know how to compete for their individual battles. They know how to do their job. But the one thing that I'm starting to recognize is that, as a team, there's sometimes that you don't need to go focus on your individual battle, because if you and maybe your partner at defense or midfield or forward, if you work in unison, you both can work a little bit easier without having to focus on just the individual battle. The way I see the game is a lot of times, if you just try and play with 11 individuals, everyone has to work that much harder the whole game to make sure that they're not getting beat. Where if you have an identity and a singular purpose of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to create, sometimes you can work a little bit easier and get a better outcome, which will in turn make you be able to play that much harder when you have the ball or when you're in the more difficult moments.
Now, Coach, in the past here in Kearney with this program, they've been pretty solid on the defensive end, but scoring goals has been an issue. How do you go about finding some kids maybe to put the ball in the back of the net?
What's funny is we do have a bunch of good girls who can put the ball in the back of the net. One of the things that I recognize so far is that it's almost like the team is afraid to get numbers forward because we've always had to be a defensive team. And, if you're always playing defense and no one's going forward to create offense, then you're telling, 1 or 2 players, hey, it's you versus their whole defense. Whereas instead, maybe we take a little bit more risk at certain moments. Maybe we send more numbers forward. And obviously when we played Southwest Minnesota State and, going down a player, we don't really have as many opportunities to send numbers forward. But I can say this, we had just as many shots in the second half as they did, and we were playing down a player the entire half. I think the ladies finally recognized, we can go forward, we can commit numbers forward because defensively we are strong. So maybe we need to play a little bit more on the front foot and, kind of try and go after some teams.
At this point, you're just in the infancy stages of this program, but looking forward a little bit, where do you think this program can be, and what would you like to have this program look like?
In the long term, every coach wants to compete for conference championships, national championships. And, if you look at the rest of the institution, there's no reason that competing for the conference championship isn't a realistic goal. Now, I'm not going to say that's something that we're going to be able to do this year. If the girls do that, that's phenomenal. I think we have a lot of growth to work on, a lot of understanding of the game, moments, cues, and triggers. But also, we got to recognize that we have a very hard conference. You know, one team that's 6th in the country, one that's 14 in the country, and 2 others that were voted top 25 but didn't end up getting the overall votes needed to be there. 4 teams last year making the national tournament, 1 going to the Elite 8. You know, this is a very, very difficult conference. So to be able to say that we're going to come in and be contenders right away is an unrealistic expectation. But I don't see why over a year, 2, 3 years that we shouldn't be making the conference playoffs. We should be making runs into the playoffs and competing. You know, wrestling's a national contender almost every year. Softball made the conference playoffs and beat the reigning champs last year. Women's basketball made the Sweet 16. Volleyball's made the Sweet 16. Tennis was nationally ranked at one point. Golf won the conference championship. Men's basketball is always a hard team to compete against in the conference. Like, everyone at our school, track being nationally ranked at certain points or in specific events. Like, the school as a whole has a winning culture here. So to me, the minimum expectation should be to be trying to make playoffs every single year.
And that was Loper soccer coach Rob Breton. UNK will look for their first victory this weekend with a trip to Colorado. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jayson Jorgensen.